Alright, hello and welcome back. This is the third episode now of our Pathfinder Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Wrath of the Righteous. Now, where we left off, we defeated this starting cave. We started down here and we moved along, and to the right we had a little detour before moving on, meeting Lann and Wenduag here. We then discovered the Sword of the Angels here. We moved over some rubble and had a detour to get a Wand of Cure Light Wounds, which we have put on Seelah for now. This transitioning and go to Neathholm. So let's do just that. Let's unpause and click this button. And before we move on further into Neathholm, I would like you to pay attention to this little condition down here. Let's go over this. This is called fatigue. There's an extended version of this called exhausted, which we will get into at some point. A fatigued character cannot charge and takes a -2 penalty to strength and dex. Doing anything that would normally cause fatigue causes the fatigued character to become exhausted. After a complete rest, fatigued characters are no longer fatigued. Let's go and explore Neathholm. We will move our formation forwards, and at some point we will be cut off. Now then, before you click continue here, make sure you have only active companions receive experience on, because you get a little bit experience here. Right, once you find yourself upon this set of dialogues, this is effectively your first major decision cutoff point. You will have the option to choose either 1. Is there someone else from the surface here? 2. I will help you find the lost mongrels in the maze, but you can quit hoping for a magical sword to appear. The magical sword is of course the one we picked up in the ruins where we met Lann and Wenduag. Now, before I explain the last 2 options, consider this your official spoiler warning, and I will give you 10 seconds before I divulge this information. Right, if you click this option here, which is unlawful, you can turn this off by the way if you want to. I will perhaps show you how to do that later. It also states requires angel mythic path, reveal the light of heaven, which is the sword here, and agree with Lann. Lann speaks the truth, or you could choose the chaotic option here. Lann is mistaken, we didn't find the sword. The difference between these 2 options depend on which companion you would want to bring along with you. Option 3 here will get you Lann, and option 4 here will get you Wenduag. For the purposes of this guide, I will show you both instances, but they will be split up. However, I will choose option 3. Lawful requires angel mythic path, reveal the light of heaven, and he shows his sword. These 3 options have no effect, and all of them will just lead to the dialogue tree continuing. And as you can see, we gain 1200 experience points. Let's quickly run over Neathholm and loot in its entirety, and also perhaps find our first merchant. Holding tab, we can now see some mongrels and also these yellow highlighted loot containers. There's one to the left of Chief Sull, one to the right. And if you continue downwards, you will perhaps want to throw in a quick save and then continue a little bit further. And here you will be met by a merchant who goes by the name of Horgus Gwerm. If you select dialogue option number 3, what kind of business proposition, you will be met by a diplomacy 16. He will effectively want you to escort him to the surface for 1000 gold, but you can persuade him to give you 2000 gold. I will attempt my luck here, and in this case I succeed. I rolled a 16 plus my 8. You will now have the Gwerm family secrets quest start. You can speak to Horgus and Anevia here. You might notice that there's someone calling for our attention. But before we do any of that, let's continue looting this place. Here is the hut you will want to rest at, but please avoid this at least for now. Returning to the lady that called for our attention, Dyra. If you interact with her, or click on her, and press Let's Trade, you will now be met with your first merchant of the game. There's a few things we have to go over in this screen, so let's do that one by one then. First of all, if you notice this button here called bulk selling, there's a small button next to it. Clicking that opens up some filters where you can sell all your masterwork, your non-magical items, or those items under the other category. For now, if you simply click the non-magical items and bulk sell, you will notice all of the items that are either non-magical or in the other category will be moved over here. This is the money I will get from this transaction, and it'll simply go and add to this number, which is my overall money. Before we do any of that, let's make ourselves a shopping list. You could perhaps buy some Cure Light Wounds if you selected the evil option from the start of the game, from your first skill check. But for the purposes of this guide, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you might notice this quiver of cold iron ammunition. The owner of this quiver can use it to shoot 20 units of cold iron ammunition. Cold iron ammunition is known for its effectiveness against demons and fey creatures. Demons is the key word here. It is forged at a lower temperature to preserve its delicate properties. At least for the harder difficulties, but also just in general, since it's cheap, only 40 gold, you can pick this up. Furthermore, you might want to pick up a few of these purifying solutions, as these will be spent to clean up the food that you will cook on the world map when you need to rest. So let's purchase a few of those, and simply by clicking once, you will buy one at a time. I think 5 will suffice. We will get 80 gold, sell a bunch of trash, and if you want to, you could also sell this Masterwork greatsword since it's worth 100 gold. And I think I will actually do that. That way we get 180 gold and also what we came for. With our shopping done, let's move to the resting hut back here. Before I interact with this hut right here, I will throw in a quick save, and I will now warn you again with a small spoiler warning. I will give you around 5 seconds and continue. If you selected dialogue option number 3 here and click this button, Wenduag will leave you, and if you selected dialogue option number 4, it's vice versa, meaning Lann will leave you. So let's click this button and rest to remove fatigue and also say goodbye to Wenduag. Lann will come to you in the morning, or Wenduag will come to you in the morning and say that the other person is gone. If you hover over this blue text, you will be informed of the decision you made. So in this case, you told the truth to the Mongol tribe and revealed the light of heaven, despite Wenduag's attempts to persuade you otherwise. So if we simply click let's go, there's no time to lose, it'll progress and we'll get the opportunity to continue. These other 4 options are simply for context and any other questions about Wenduag or Lann's relationship. Once one of the 2 has left you, you might notice that anything you had on Wenduag is on her still. So if you really want to min-max here, you could remove his or her potions if you left Lann or Wenduag. As you can see, if you go into your journal once more, we have gained some new information about the shield maze. Lann believes that the quickest route to the maze is through the main gate. And here you can also see the other quest we picked up from Horgus, and the one we completed in the prologue or the opening scene. If you click this button down here, it'll vanish like so. I will throw in a additional clip. If you picked up Wenduag, the way forward will be slightly different. Picking up on the alternative route, if you select option 4 when talking to Chief Sull, once you then rest, Wenduag will come to you and she will tell you that Lann get in our way, meaning that Lann has left. The way to the shield maze also changes from this location right here to where our characters are right now, this here. We will take this boat. Also, since one of the people in your party has now left, you might want to come here, down here again, and move around your formation to your needs. As this is the main route and the one we've picked for this guide, including Lann here, we will move forwards as there's nothing else in Neathholm here. Once you press this button, you will enter the next area, which is the shield maze. If you open up your map, you might notice that this map is significantly larger than the area we just completed. With that being said though, let's move forwards, and a bit further along we should meet a familiar face, a monitor lizard. So let's buff short, throw in a quick save, initiate our combat, charge with Seelah, use protective lock on her, and have the other two shoot from a distance. Make sure your Seelah is in fighting defensively, as this will boost her AC a little bit. See, if we mouse over this little thing here, we get the benefits of protective lock. It rolled a 15 and a 14, and since we have protective lock applied on Seelah, it was forced to pick the 14 here. The only way this monitor lizard can hit Seelah is if it rolls 17 twice. At least 17 twice, anyway. Make sure to reapply protective lock if the combat goes wrong, or at least continues. There we are. That took a little bit longer than I wanted, but anyway. You might want to throw on guidance, if you haven't, to maximize your chances to get this skin. Like so. It is now on. Make sure all of your characters are selected by pressing Ctrl A on your PC, if you're on PC. And let's try to skin this. In this case, we failed, and we can actually not see the roll for it. Let's move forwards, and we should be interrupted by a dialogue segment. Once we have met up with Sull on the Lann route, if you continue this way, there's actually a small little tip to avoid taking too much damage. Simply try to move forwards with, let's say, Seelah. As soon as the combat is triggered, you'll want to move Seelah or whoever you initiated this combat with back, and just keep your characters away from the fighting. And the mongrels will actually fight this battle for us. Now you might notice this mongrel here was affected by the disease condition. Interact with this, we might be able to see the disease here. There are a few ways to remove this. A character can either make a successful fortitude save or use one of the first aid kits we picked up together with the treat affliction ability here. However, if you do this route, you'll have to do it with a law religion check. So it might be beneficiary for you to have your highest law religion person, whoever that may be, in this case it's our bard, do the treat affliction on whoever is affected by a disease if it's contracted to one of your characters. Now Lann, since he's ranged, will try to shoot, and the others will simply just run a bit forwards. You might worry that you don't get the experience, but you actually will, as you can see here. So we'll simply watch these flies and mongrels duke it out, and with that, the combat is finished. There is nothing up here. However, if you went with Wenduag or the dialogue option on number 4, you will start here, and these flies will not be here. The monitor lizard will still. Once you arrive, the enemies will not be here, these flies that we talked about, and the mongrel tribe in general will not be here either. There are a few other differences once you enter the maze and complete the maze with Wenduag instead of Lann, but I will have you discover them on your own. That wraps up this alternative play if you select Wenduag over Lann. With that being said, we can now move into the actual shield maze. Let's squeeze through, and we now find ourselves in the entrance hallway. If you move over to the right here, you might notice there's a low religion with a 5 DC. And since we just established that our bard has a +6, this is guaranteed. I don't have to apply guidance or anything else, at least if I have Control A on, or just select all my characters and click this button. I'll succeed the skill check. As I have a modifier of 6, even if I rolled a 1, I will succeed this skill check. Let's open this door, move in. To your immediate left and right, there's some chests. The chest on the right has a potion of reduced person, and the chest on the right has some minor valuables. Moving forward, you will be met with your first combat encounter. Let's break this down, shall we? Alright, we have a Baphomet cultist on the left, a neophyte wizard here, and a neophyte sharpshooter here. I also know for a fact that there's another wizard just here, around here anyway. We can try and put on stealth and move a bit over to the right, like so, and we might be able to spot him. In this case we aren't, and if I move any more forward with Seelah here, there's a good chance she will be detected. Now then, let's try to go out of stealth, click Seelah, charge the wizard, have our 2 range characters focus on this sharpshooter, and Lann will focus on this wizard as soon as it comes into our vision range. Camellia will pull Protective Lock on Seelah and will buff short. Throw in a quick save for good measure and watch. Here's the wizard. We will now redirect our attention to that guy and continue. We get a crit hit on the wizard, and the other wizard is immediately defeated. We need to watch this Protective Lock and just regularly apply it. Have Lann swap over to this sharpshooter. You can pause as many times as you need in combat with the space key. Our bard will focus on shooting him. In this case, I don't know why Seelah ran out. Oh, it's because I have it on do it automatically. Seelah is moving over to defeat this neophyte sharpshooter, and our entire team is focusing on it as well. Let's make sure Protective Lock is getting reapplied as often as we can. The Baphomet cultist buffs himself with Divine Favor, a little attack roll buff. We hit a nice hit. Buff short just to get some guidance back if you want. And we should hopefully wrap it up sooner rather than later. There we are. That is our first combat with 4 enemies, 2 wizards and 1 sharpshooter. We will now try to open the chest. Camellia moves forwards. In this case she fails the check, but some chests, at least at the beginning, have 2 attempts, so let's try once more. And inside there's a little agate, just some sellable loot. Now, here's the first loot containers on enemies. There's some scrolls, there's a Masterwork glaive. Make sure to pick up Masterwork weapons at least at the start. There's also a heavy crossbow, and just checking to make sure. And there's nothing else really. We can also pick up this chain armor and put it on our main character. This should boost his armor class by a little bit. As you can see, it did. It went from 14 up to 16. Right, if we continue moving forwards, you will find some potions, a potion of mage armor, and 15 gold. Opening this door, we will be introduced to a new mechanic. You might notice there's a little red stippled line going over to this vent looking thing. And on the right side, there's a trickery disarm check. If we move forward, we might be able to spot a trap. And there it is. Traps can be disarmed oftentimes by just clicking on their disarm points. We can now claim the loot, which is some elemental essence. Head to the room on our right. Inside this room to the right of the trapped hallway, you will find a Baphomet cutthroat. Let's try to take him on. Buff short, protective lock, charge, and attack, like so. Throw in a quick save, just in case. Alright, we defeat this cultist. We get a scroll of summon small fire elemental, and inflict light wounds, and a Masterwork glaive. We also have a medium breastplate. And let's loot this room. Get some scrolls of various kinds. There's a lore religion check here. We also succeed in a passive perception check. Let's try our hand at this religion check. Like so, we get 16 experience. Loot this bookshelf for a scroll of heroism. We already know this spell. Get some more scrolls. And this book. Let's go over books, at least the ones that are highlighted with a little yellow ring here. If you right-click this book, hit Info, you might notice down here to your right, you learned something new from this book. Reading any books with yellow circles around them will net you a nice bonus to different things. In case of this book called Tome of the Minotaur, Sermons from the Labyrinth, found in the ability section. If I hover over this book grants +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls with glaive. So if I were to use a glaive with my main character now, I will now effectively have weapon training, which will net me a nice +1 to this, and 1 more damage. Since my main character is meant to be a melee character, but does not have the armor class yet anyway, I'll keep him on crossbows instead of the rapiers here. I've also picked up a heavy crossbow and put it on Camellia for some more damage. You might have noticed that it has shifted her over to this, but since we're primarily using her for trickery, we only lose -2 from this. If you want to, you can remove the armor, at least when there's some trickery checks, but for now we'll simply move on. To your left here there should be a chest, and we succeed the perception check to discover it, and we can now loot it for some minor valuables. Moving forward, there's a dining table. Past it, there are some signs of some corrupted mongrels. These are the people that were native to the village we were just in. We are now initiated in combat with these mongrels as they have gone aggressive. There we are, and Lann will now talk to us. Or Wenduag, if you brought her. These 3 options let you learn a bit more about Lann, and this 4th one will progress. The game autosaves, and we can click on this to learn more about the situation. The bloodstains still mar the ground. Around them are comfortable benches with pillows. Someone clearly enjoyed watching others suffer. Here is a locked place, or a locked cupboard, whatever you want to call it. So we could theoretically take this offer for the moment, whoops, and buff short just in case, and try with a 95% now. And there we are. We get a first aid kit, some potions, and some valuables. If I move over to the leftmost wall of this place, you might notice some colored paintings of different queens here. I want you to keep this color code in mind, as it will come in handy at some point soon in the future. In this room there is a rather difficult enemy, but at least if we sneak in with Camellia here, we can try our hand at disabling this trap on the other side. And we succeeded. And let's simply get Camellia out of dodge. We can now move in to the right here, loot this chest, get some potions and some valuables. Here we find a Masterwork heavy mace, so pocket that one. Make sure, if you want to, that you have your chain shirt on when you are facing enemies anyway. You might notice that we are rather close to level 3 with this experience trick. Our goal here is to get some easy combat encounters and hit level 3 before taking on the rest of the maze. Moving down from this area where we just looted, you will find yourself in a little watered basement area-ish, and there's a box here that contains some potions and some more loot. Let's try to open this door and move through it. We will find some more enemies, like so. Apply our buffs, charge the closest one, have our 2 range people focus on this guy so they do not suffer the -4 penalty, have Camellia get protective lock on Seelah, and throw in a quick save. And since this person here is engaged in combat with Seelah, we will try and attack this other mongrel. Make sure to reapply either protective lock or evil eye as many times as you possibly can. Now this guy will try to move for our backline, so let's try and switch with our main character to our cold iron rapier. And do we have any shields? We do not, so we cannot boost his AC any further. We can try and charge this mongrel with our main character and see what happens. We kill him, so we can immediately switch over to the crossbow and shoot again. This is a case of adaptability, so it might be difficult to pull off at the start if you're a beginner. With that being said though, we defeat these mongrels, we gain some experience, and we inch ever closer to level 3. We can now help ourselves to the crates here. Once you open this door after defeating these 3 mongrels, you will perhaps be met with a perception check. And in this case we luckily succeed, so we can loot all the valuables and potions we might find in here. We get another first aid kit and some potions. And here is another locked chest, and we succeed, and we've looted this little cupboard area. If we move over here, we can loot some more boxes, like so. We can, with Seelah, if she was hurt, we can simply use 1 potion. And this should be more than sufficient HP. Apply our short buffs, as there is a combat encounter waiting right here. The one at the back is a ranger, so with our 2 ranged characters, we will shoot this person. Apply protective lock on Seelah and charge the closest one. Notice that since we're hitting the mongrel ranger at the back, we are not affected by the -4 penalty on our attack bonus. So we should be able to kill this person quite efficiently, hopefully. Anyways, we kill the ranger. Let's see here, we move Lann back a bit. We swap our main character over to the rapier, and since our attack is 5 seconds away, we will simply just try to move. Apply protective lock on our main character instead, since it's most likely the one this person is targeting, and he might get hit. Okay, we'll get lucky here. Since our Tiefling bard is a motherless Qlippoth spawn, we get a bite attack. this is visible right here as an extra attack in melee. Now, right now, it has a +0 to attack because it is affected by a -5 secondary weapon penalty. But if it hits, it does 3 to 8 extra damage effectively. Since this person is still attacking our main character, applying Protective Lock on him is crucial. Luckily, we kill the mongrel before he gets another hit out in. But more importantly, we could perhaps heal Seelah with either potions or the Wand of Cure Light Wounds. When it comes to healing Seelah, I will just use potions. We get 5 HP from this one and 7 HP from this one. It varies between, let's see if we can open the panel here, 1d8 points of damage plus 1 point per caster level. We are now getting closer and closer to level 3. If we move towards the dining table and the corrupted mongrels again, we will find another door here. In this door there is a barracks looking room with these beds here. I know for a fact that there's 2 ranged enemies here and 2 melee here. You could try to bait them out, at least these ranged people, by having Seelah go in, trigger the combat and move her out again. That way the ranged characters do not have time to shoot while your holy shit. That way the ranged enemies do not have the opportunity to shoot at your characters while they are defeating the melee enemies. Here we are now in combat with these enemies in here. Remember to apply Protective Lock. Lann will focus on this person here. Seelah will charge towards the one she can reach. And our main character will charge towards this person up here. While they get their turns, they will move forwards. And here they go. And we succeed in dealing with this room. We get another heavy crossbow and another one if you want to. Excuse me, thank you. Here we get a Masterwork short sword, and this chest here is locked, but we should be able to open it. We get a potion of Shield of Faith. There should be one more loot contained. No, I remember incorrectly. If you move forward from this area here, there is a pouch on the table, a chest in the corner. Throw in a quick save, because there is a hidden perception check here. Moving up, you can loot the chest, get some loot and potions, and if you're lucky, you pop the perception check and you can open a hidden compartment. In this little room, you'll find some more potions, some food, and more importantly, a cold iron Masterwork longsword. Let's go over the cold iron quality, but also its benefits. Right now, we have +6 with a 5 to 12. If we equip this with Seelah, we get a +7 and still the same damage. However, and this is the important part, since this weapon is cold iron, there's an additional quality here. This quality bypasses the damage reduction of demons. We will get to that rather soon, as the first demons in this area are coming up. Passing through this door here into this chapel looking area, we will try to inch forwards, and we see a Baphomet cultist, a wizard, a sharpshooter, and a cleric. I believe there's also an additional enemy up here, and if you are playing on core or above, there will be more enemies everywhere, basically. If you're playing on the lower difficulties, some of these encounters might have 1 or 2 enemies less. Let's apply our buffs, charge the wizard, focus on the cleric with our ranged, apply Protective Lock, and throw in a quick save. We will try to charge this sharpshooter, and with Lann, we will try and shoot this wizard. Seelah gets hit by magic missile. I should have charged the wizard first, but that's alright. We defeat the wizard. Camilla is casting Protective Lock on Seelah. She will do so again. We are slowly cutting our way through here. One more Protective Lock should do the trick. There we are. With this room cleared, we can now take our time and loot the things around here. There's a Scroll of Remove Fear. Remember this. A Masterwork Glaive. heavy crossbow if you haven't picked one up, and some more armor. We are now 19 experience points away from hitting level 3, which is basically one trap or one more encounter. This door right here is locked, and we can prove that by simply moving up to it and clicking it. It will also progress the Devoured by Darkness quest. The door to one of the sections of the maze is locked. There must be a way to open it. Let's loot the remaining bodies, which just primarily consists of a scroll, and in this room there is another trap we can disarm. We perceive the trap, and with Camellia we will now move into this room. Make sure to move around the red cone here, otherwise it will trigger the trap. We complete trickery check, and we're now missing 6 experience points. Now then, in this room right here, if you're playing on core or above, these enemies in this room will have an additional ability that I will teach you how to avoid. If you are playing on anything below core, as in normal, casual, or story, and actually also daring, excuse me, these enemies will not have the spell that I am about to showcase the ways to avoid. With that being said, let's move into this area once more. Make sure that Lann has the cold iron ammunition quiver that we bought from Dyra, and with our fastest character, which is anyone but Seelah basically, we will now move into this room here. Throw in a quick save, and in here we will see our first demon enemies. Dredges in this case. They are chaotic evil outsiders. They are level 2. They have an AC of 16, 15 flat-footed. They do some minor damage, but the more annoying part of these enemies here is, at least on core and above, Stinking Cloud. Stinking Cloud creates a bank of fog like that created by Fog Cloud, except that the vapors are nauseating. Living creatures, which all our characters are, in the cloud become nauseated. Creatures with the nauseated condition experience stomach distress. Nauseated creatures are unable to attack, cast spells, concentrate on spells, or do anything else requiring attention. The only action such a character can take is a single move action per turn. If we go over the Stinking Cloud again, this condition lasts as long as the creature is in the cloud and for 1d4 plus 1 rounds, so between 6 to 30 seconds. And it can be avoided by rolling a fortitude save, but that is unnecessary if you do this trick. If you just throw in a quick save, move your character a little bit forward until the combat is initiated, like so, there's 1, 2, and 3 dredges. Our characters here will remain in place, and to do so you can press the stop thing down here. Draken we will move him around, and all of the dredges have now used their Stinking Clouds. Now, if you baited these Stinking Clouds and moved your party out here, these dredges should follow you and you can simply engage them on your own terms. Draken is affected by the Stinking Cloud, so he's not much use for now. Now he is no longer affected, so we will swap him over to Cold Iron and try and attack this dredge that's moving for us. And we will, instead of applying Protective Lock on Seelah, apply it on Draken since he has lower AC. Make sure you have these Cold Iron ammunition on Lann and that he's shooting them. There's one more left. He swapped targets, so we will swap Protective Lock for this. And we kill. And with the combat ending, we hit level 3. With that being said, I think this episode has run long enough, and we still have about half of the shield maze left. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.